Thank you so much. I've always wanted to be in a story. When I was little, I wrote little adventures and recruited neighborhood friends to run around in the backyards and act them out with me. Then I got a little bit older, and I discovered the wonderful world of TV drama, specifically law dramas. One of my favorites still today is the television series Suits on USA. Suits is great, and it sort of blends my two worlds together. Last May, I graduated from Valparaiso University, where I studied business and theater. So naturally, a show about a group of executives in a corporate law firm really appeals to me. It's interesting because you're watching this group of executives live their personal and professional lives, and one aspect of their professional life is making decisions that enable the firm to act. And then you get to see the results of those actions. And so what starts to happen is you start to bridge the results of the actions of that firm to the people making the decisions. And why that's interesting and why I like that is because I think it's really easy for us to think about big companies and big corporations and just kind of picture these gray brick walls and not really connect that to the people who are making the decisions behind the big gray walls. So I like Suits for more than the business lessons we can take away from the TV show. It's also just a good example of good storytelling. What makes it a good story is throughout all of the seasons, all of the characters have these very true moments of vulnerability. And when they use that vulnerability, it lets the audience in, and they make it honest. And if you make it honest, it will be received honestly. So I'm going to be talking about vision statements today. And one of the first things I'd like to do is just define a vision statement. All right, I'm going to define it twice. Okay, I'm going to define it 3 times. No fourth definitions, but only because I couldn't fit any more words on the page. So I'm going to come back to this slide with all 3 of them up, but first I'd like to just read through all of the definitions once so we've all heard them out loud. An aspirational description of what an organization would like to achieve or accomplish in the midterm or long-term future. It is intended to serve as a clear guide for choosing current and future courses of action. First and foremost is vision. From a simple mission statement to a corporate manifesto, a company's vision is a powerful tool. For example, Google's modern and infamous slogan, "Don't be evil," is a compelling corporate vision. Secondly, values, while a broad concept, embody the mentalities and perspectives necessary to achieve a company's vision. And thirdly, an effective vision pervades the organization with a sense of winning and motivates employees at all levels to aim for the same target while leaving room for individual and team contributions. So something I'd like to point out in the second definition specifically is the use of the word tool. And that's an important distinction I want you guys to make because of 2 reasons. One, it is a tool. Vision statements are a tool that can be used, and they should be used, and they're meant to help you build. Secondly, because a toolbox with 1 tool in it isn't a very good toolbox. It's pretty lonely, and you can't build very much with that. So these are all pretty good definitions of what a vision statement should be, and they share a lot in common. They all talk about decision-making, they all talk about strategy, they all talk about the future, they all talk about values. But what they don't do is they don't talk about some of the results and some of the elements that form as a result of the effective use of a vision statement. So I'd like to talk about a couple companies who use their vision statements extremely effectively and what that does and why it's important. So in respect of time, I'm going to focus on Patagonia, but I'm also going to talk about Tesla and Zappos, and I'll mention Facebook, Google, and Jellyvision as well. Patagonia was founded by a mountain climber, and he became dissatisfied with the available equipment to him as a mountain climber. So, because what was happening was every time that he went out on a climb, he was defacing the mountain he was climbing. So he was ruining the mountain for his future self, and he was ruining it for future generations, and he didn't like that. So he decided to innovate. And I need to pause because remember that toolbox that we're starting to fill up? Innovation is another extremely powerful tool that belongs in that toolbox. And it's even more than that. Innovation is really a practice, but we're talking about vision statements. So he decided to innovate, and what he did was he made his own mountain climbing equipment that was respectful of the environment and wouldn't deface the mountains on his climbs. And his friends found out about that, and they wanted some of his equipment, and their friends found out, and they wanted some of the same equipment, and that turned into a shop, and that shop snowballed into one of the most recognizable outdoor wear brands in today's market, Patagonia. And that's great. But that's not exactly what's important. What's important is what they're doing as one of the most recognizable brands. So they've founded 1% for the Planet, which is an alliance of businesses all dedicated to giving back 1% of their annual sales to environmental causes. They've donated millions of dollars themselves to environmental causes and environmental work. About 20 years ago, they switched to entirely organic cotton, and they work hand in hand with the Fair Trade Act and the Fair Labor Agency to try and solve the wage crisis in the world. This is Patagonia's mission statement. Build the best product, cause no unnecessary harm, use business to inspire and implement solutions to the environmental crisis. Do you hear that in all of the different initiatives and all the different elements of that business that I just laid out? Do you feel that? I do. So Tesla, just a couple of years ago, developed an electric car battery, and then they released the blueprints for that electric car battery in hopes that other automobile manufacturers would follow suit and also start releasing electric cars and electric car batteries. Zappos is extremely well known for their company culture, but what they have also done is they've won awards for their dedication to corporate social responsibility. They have 8 core values. Google, Facebook, and Jellyvision are all extremely well known for their practice of innovation, for their dedication to corporate social responsibility, and their implementation of corporate social responsibility into their business plan and operations, and they're also very well known for their philanthropic arms. So what's happening here between these different companies? Because they're all in different markets, they're all different sizes, and they're all in different industries, and they're all on different paths in their lifetime of their business. But what's happening is they're all using their vision statement effectively. And when you use your vision statement effectively, what happens is everything in your company becomes aligned because it provides that alignment. Because now, all of a sudden, you're using your tool to help inform the decisions you're making, to help inform and decide what strategies you're going to use and what you're going to do. And when that alignment occurs, when that cohesion is provided through your use of a vision statement, there's a distinct line drawn between every single element of your business and its existence and the vision statement, which forces a company into a position of transparency. And transparency is another one of those tools, because if you use it effectively, what it does is it builds customer loyalty. It builds trust through your customer, and it makes it honest. And if you make it honest, it will be received honestly. That's the same thing I was talking about with vulnerability and storytelling. So, transparency in business and vulnerability in storytelling are 2 different results from the same tool being implemented slightly differently. In a business, a vision statement is used to help create business operations, dictate structure and strategy. In a story, it's used by the artist first and foremost to inform what message they're trying to deliver, what story they're trying to tell. And specifically in storytelling, a vision statement is used by the protagonist because it's built by the author, but it's used by the protagonist to help them in their world determine their strategies and their decisions and how they're going to act to the environments and the situations that they're being thrust into. And guess what? We're all the protagonists in our own stories. They're just not ready to be told yet. And I know we're the protagonist because we're not the narrator passively standing by and making snide comments in a British accent. And we're definitely not the author because we didn't write ourselves and we didn't write the situations or the environments that we're being thrust into that we have to react to. But we have an advantage knowing that we're the protagonists of our own stories because it gives us the opportunity, we have the capability to build for ourselves our own vision statements. And here's the thing, it's not an actionable plan. It's not, I'm going to do A, I'm going to do B, I'm going to do C. It's not step 1, step 2, step 3. A vision statement is a tool that you can build for yourself and then start to use when you don't know what's next, when you don't know what decision to make or path to take or what strategy to use. It's used in business to help create powerful and impactful business. It's used in storytelling to help create meaningful and compelling stories, and you can use it in your own life to live a meaningful and impactful life. Make it honest and it will be received honestly. Live like the protagonist of your own story and create the story you want told. Thank you so much.